T-minus 1 minute. T-minus 50 seconds. T-minus 40 seconds. T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Public service announcement. I need all my Titan fans to come on down. Grab you some popcorn, grab you a drink. Titans Colosseum in the building. Yeah, not, boy, I'm in the game. Still ballin' out, never change. I be reppin' my hometown for the whole city, really knew my name. Boss talk, I don't do favors. Yeah, we signing deals with the top players. We just started this lifestyle. We be having all kind of haters. I'm a madman, they better come get me. Wanna box me in, but I'm too shifty. If they come at me sideways, I'ma stiff arm it like Derrick Henry. Now listen, we're not the same. EA Sports, boy, I'm in the game. I be reppin' my city, dog. Got a Titan logo hanging on the chain. Big money, big moves. New stadium on the way. Nashville, we hold it down. We the one team that you don't wanna play. They be trying to talk down on us. I just laugh at them and I walk away. I don't tolerate disrespect. Might shoot a fade, penny hard away. Big money, big moves. New stadium on the way. Nashville, we hold it down. We the one team that you don't wanna play. We be putting in the hard work, so we coming in with all kind of skill. I be living in the end zone. My finger roll like Tannehill. What's poppin'?
Yes, sir. Welcome to the Titans Colosseum Podcast, man. Hey, fellas, how y'all feeling tonight?
No, yeah, feeling good, man. Got a special guest in the building, man. You know what I'm saying? Can't wait to talk about some Titan business, man. Got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of rumors, a lot of big stuff we can talk about, man. So
yeah, man, definitely excited, man. Like you said, special guest here tonight. So, man, I'm excited to talk some Titans football, man. And so, man, I'm excited, bro. That's all I can say.
Yeah, for sure, man. Hey, appreciate everybody watching tonight. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, tell a friend about us, blah, blah, blah. This, that, and the third. 5 Stone. I ain't gonna talk about that damn beer, but I'm gonna let you do it though.
Yes, sir. This episode is brought to you by LionsDenBeerCollection.com. If you're trying to keep your beard in the tip-top shape, or if you're trying to start yours off on the right foot, go to LionsDenBeerCollection.com. Use promo code Coliseum, get 25% off your order. As well as this episode is brought to you by SunnySmilesCoffee.com. Premium. Wow, I can't talk now. Sound like you today, Marako. Premium freshly roasted coffee. Free shipping on all orders in the U.S. They have capsules. They have many different origins, flavors for you to go try out and sample packets. So go to SunnySmilesCoffee.com and get free shipping on all your U.S. orders. As well as make sure you join in the Titans Army community on Facebook. They are giving out some of our free merch on giveaways as well. We are giving out some free merch today as well, but they are giving out free merch on their group as well. A bunch of good Titans fans and a good community there with moderators that keeps the bullshit to a minimum. So go to Titans Army community, involved in that, and get around other Titans fans as well. And like I said, we got new merch out. Let Ran Cook merch is out now. You can grab yours. I got mine on. I got it in the back as well. You got them in hoodies. You got them in t-shirts. So make sure you go TitansColosseum.com/merch and go get yours Let Ran Cook merch today.
Man, I'm gonna have to start helping you break down some of that, man. We got a lot of shit going on.
yeah, that's a lot, bro.
But man, look, man, y'all here for a reason, man. We ain't even gonna hold y'all, man. He don't need no introduction, but goddamn it, just like everybody else that come to the Coliseum, he gonna get one, man. Like I said, y'all should already know who he is. If you don't, you bullshit, man. He one of the coolest, freshest, flyest dudes to cover the Tennessee Titans, man. You can catch him around town doing his thing, all jade up. Hey, man. Like I said, man, he one of the coolest, man, to ever do it, man. So with that being said, y'all give it up for Teron Davenport.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on with you, TD?
Ain't nothing, man. Another day, man. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Man, appreciate you coming on, man. Ready to talk some of this two-tone business with you.
Yeah, for sure. First things first, I got to get with your Lions beard sponsor. You know, I'm trying to grow mine in. It's you know, it's coming, but yeah, I need to get some of that.
Yes, sir. We got you. We got you. Just let me know. I got you. I got you.
That's what's up.
For sure, man. But we're gonna go ahead and get this thing started, man. TD. First thing we're gonna discuss tonight, man. Your thoughts on the progression of the Titans offseason from, you know, the start to right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's been tough. There's some things that are puzzling, but some other things where it's like, okay, that makes sense. And I think if you look at it in total, the grade is incomplete because there's still a lot more that needs to be done when you look at free agency as well as the draft. So many of us are caught on everything having to happen in free agency. And if you look at the rosters that are at the top of this league, a lot of it is built through the draft. And we know that the draft is an area where the Titans have struggled somewhat. So that is something to consider. But again, I think it's incomplete. You look at the moves, right? A lot of people look at Azeez Al-Shire moving on and they say, how could the Titans let him go? Well, I'll tell you, they didn't want to let him go, but the Texans' offer just came in at a point where he had to take it. Then Denico Autry is another one they wanted to retain, but he was able to go to the Texans as well. So those things just kind of worked out the way they did. And in comes Kenneth Murray. And a lot of people talk so badly about Kenneth Murray and they use PFF and this, that, and the third. And I tell you guys the same thing I told Jared Stillman, right? If you take a knife and use it as a fork, you're not going to have good results. And what I mean by that is you look at a guy, and you heard what he said when he was asked his style of play, fast and physical. That is not exactly a match for what Brandon Staley, his read and react type of defense that he did. So you're taking a knife and using it as a fork, and then you wonder why PFF's results are what they were. And those are things you just got to take and understand that for what it is, right? It's their opinion of how he did. They don't know the scheme. They don't know his exact assignment. So a lot of, like Jared Stillman, you know, using PFF as a way to say, hey, this guy is good or bad is poor. And free agency is all about projecting that player into your scheme. And I don't mean to go on a rant on that, but I've always liked Kenneth Murray as a player. Even back to Oklahoma days, he was one of my favorite linebackers coming out. And I feel he got a bad rap. He was miscast in that Chargers defense. And now you're getting a guy who is aggressive and downhill. And what better way to match him than with an aggressive defensive coordinator that's going to do a lot of physical things that I'm looking forward to watching this Titans defense do.
No, because I love that because I'm not in Tennessee. I'm from Oklahoma. So I'm a Titans fan here in Oklahoma. Been a fan since them Oiler days here in Houston. So, yeah, man, watching him come out and a lot of people, like I said, give him that slack of like, oh, well, he didn't improve. He didn't do this. And I'm like, name me one defensive player that actually did improve on that Chargers defense because they had a cast of people and nobody really necessarily improved. So I really just think he just didn't get a fair chance. And I think now him coming to Titans and what we're going to run here as the defense is really going to let Kenneth Murray shine at what he does, in which speed, run over the field. He's always around the ball. So I'm excited to see it. So, yeah.
Yeah, somebody in the chat had asked if I'm a Titans fan or just covering a team. No, I'm not a Titans fan. If I had to pick a team, it would be the Eagles. But I like players, so I don't have a particular favorite team. So no, what you get is emotionless, objective coverage. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, I'm sure you cheer for the Titans to win, though. You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't. Honestly, I don't. It's for me. It's either I want them to be either really good or really bad. Because that's like when they're middling, you don't really get the same type of support from corporate and from the mothership. So yeah, that's the way I look at it.
I understand that because you got to make sure because it's same thing kind of here for us. Like when we started tanking bad last year, it's like views just go down. People don't really want to hear about it unless it's really, really bad or unless it's really, really good. That mediocrity level, they're like, nah, I don't want to hear about that.
Yeah, no doubt.
So what was it like? Because going back, like the beginning of the free agents or this offseason really started with that Vrabel firing. So what was like the atmosphere in the building when Vrabel got fired to what this atmosphere is now in the building now that we got Brian Callahan?
Yeah, it's interesting. I got a text that Saturday before the game, and it was like, don't be surprised if things go crazy after the game tomorrow. And I'm like, what? Because everything leading up to that was pointing to Vrabel still being around, at least from what a lot of us were gathering. But then they won, and so that ended up giving it a little bit more time. But then I remember going to the building that Monday and not getting a schedule of any outgoing press conference from Mike Vrabel. And then talking to some of the players, they didn't talk to Mike Vrabel. They didn't have an exit interview. So it's like, man, that doesn't look good. And then I got a message, hey, look, if it doesn't happen today, it's happening tomorrow. And I couldn't believe it. It was crazy. And that's how it worked,
Yeah.
So how were you during the coaching search and like the actual all the way leading up to the hiring of Brian Callahan, man? So how exactly where it was a coaching search on to that point?
Early in the process, I really honed in on Brian Callahan. What I did was I watched a few interviews. I watched Ben Johnson. I watched Bobby Slowick. I watched Callahan. I watched his name slips on my Aaron Glenn. I watched those guys, and I saw a video from Locked On Bengals that they did with Brian Callahan, and he was breaking down just different things. And I'm like, no, this dude I like him. So then I just dug a little bit deeper. And he was the one all along that I felt that they should hire. And I think they made the right move. Now, how he's going about some of the coaching hiring, that's a different conversation. We'll see how Nick Holz works. I get it. You always trust your people that you grew up with, that you know. I just don't like Charles London. Letting him go, that's a move that I don't support. I think he should have been maintained.
I agree with that as well. So what do you think about the Brian Callahan hire? And on top of that, what do you think is going to be like during what do you think the Titans will look like under him as our head coach?
Yeah, I think what I gathered from him just right away is fair but firm. Whereas I feel that he's going to be a guy that's going to bend to the players some, but when there's a level of expectation that's set and that level, anything dips below it, he's not going for it. And I think that's where the firm part of it. And I really like, Dennard Wilson, bringing him in. I mean, that's a dude that you guys watched the press conference, so you felt it. But even in person, you feel his energy even more. Like he had me like, man, like I would like to play for him. You know what I mean? Like you feel the charge. And then it's funny. I joke about the rest of the defensive coaches there. I say they remind me of Harlem Nights, right? Because you got Eddie Murphy, that's Dennard Wilson. You got the two OGs, Frank Bush and Steve Jackson. That's Richard Pryor, the Red Fox. And you keep going on down the line. You got Tracy Walker. He's like the champ. And then you got, Danny Aiello. And I always say that's Jarrett Stillman, right? Because that's Aiello is always trying to sabotage what they're doing. And I joke with Jarrett about that. But I like what he did defensively. I think, you have Chris Harris still. And there's going to be a lot of energy in that coaching staff. And I know just, what Chidobe Awuzie said as well. Well, let's say his name, Chidobe Awuzie, we say it, the way he wants us to say it. Him and Kenneth Murray, they both talked about the importance of those guys in place, right? Because I asked Kenneth Murray, how excited are you to work with an OG? And he mentioned how he's looking forward to, being in the room and learning what it is he needs to do in order to take his game to the next level. So it's already paying dividends, right? Having those guys in place, it helps sign pretty high marquee free agents in Awuzie and Murray.
Well, but, I gotta ask you, man. So during the interview, the introduction press conference, man, when they got to arguing, man,
Yeah.
during those questions, man, was that you? That was a part of it? I know it was PK. I think it was PK.
Oh no, sir, that wasn't me.
That wasn't you. Okay,
that wasn't me.
Okay,
No.
I was making sure. I couldn't remember who was on it. Huh?
No, that wasn't me.
That's crazy, man.
It was funny because I'm just standing there watching it, like, wow, this is crazy. But yeah, that wasn't me.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen the media room responding like that, and like the reporters asking questions. Like I haven't seen that, at least from a Titans level. I haven't ever seen that much excitement happen. So as a fan, it was kind of cool to see, but at the same time, I was like, man, I'm glad I'm not at the other end of that table answering questions, because this shit, I'd be stressed.
Did you see Nick Holz during the whole thing? Yeah, he's like, I was cracking up. I was cracking. That was hilarious, man. The way he was looking back and forth, I said, "Oh man, Callahan looked like he liked it, because he's sitting there looking like he looked like he liked it, So
yeah,
yeah, TD, you made damn sure that was not me.
No, hey, listen, I don't sing, so I didn't want to say who it was, but that for sure wasn't me.
Yeah. You know, Tiny Porter found out who that was real quick, man. I think within 15 minutes they knew who it was.
Yeah,
but yeah, I wanted to ask you about the quarterback situation, man, because the Titans, they're going to need corner, and they're going to need corners just as bad as they need offensive linemen, wide receivers as well. And wanted to ask you, with the most notable guys being taken already, what direction should the Titans go to address that other cornerback position?
Yeah, I think, and it's funny that you asked that, because I have a story posting tomorrow, and I was looking at the free agent corners. It's like a free agency, okay, what's next type of post. And Akello Weatherspoon is a guy that continually, he stands out to me. He actually was a teammate of Awuzie at Colorado, and he's a long corner. He was with the Rams last year. I think he had 3 interceptions or so. He's by no means lockdown or anything like that, but he's a solid corner, which is what you need right now at the very least. So you got him. Obviously Xavier Howard, I don't know. He's kind of declined a bit over the last couple of years, and just who I've talked to in Miami. So those are options I think really got turned to the draft. And the guy that I continuously, look at for the Titans, well, there's a few, right? Jarvis Brownlee Jr. is one. And I told him at the Senior Bowl, and I had to tell him, like, understand, take this as a compliment, but if you and I were teammates, like, I would fight you every day in practice. He looked at me, and I was like, what I mean by that is because, like, you're one of those feisty corners. You're always in my pocket. You're someone that you would irritate me, and that's a good thing, right? And he's a small, he's like 5'10", but he's a really good corner. He's a guy later. You look at Kalen Carson, no one's talking about him, but out of Wake Forest. And that story I did on Keon Coleman, I asked Keon straight up, like, who was it, Nate Wiggins? Who was the best corners that you faced? And he without a doubt said Keon without a doubt said Kalen Carson. So, he's a solid corner. I really like Cam Hart and Kyrie Jackson. I love long corners that could move. You want to see, Cam Hart against Marvin Harrison Jr., 3 receptions, 38 yards. Solid. So those are probably, the draft is probably the direction they're going to have to go, because there's not really much left, by way of free agency.
All right, let's switch gears for a second and talk about the safeties, because a name that has come up amongst most Titans fans is Justin Simmons. And you want to get your thoughts on Simmons and who may be available in the draft that the Titans could go after.
Yeah, so it's funny. Justin Simmons, I remember watching him at the East-West Shrine week of practices, and I'm like, man, this safety, his range is stupid, and he's always in the right position. This dude is fun to watch. Let me go back and watch. And I watched more of him at Boston College, and I fell in love with him as a player. He was actually on one of the episodes of Talking with TD way back when. He's probably the only safety where, like, I would have entertained a conversation about being better than Kevin Byard through that 4 or 5 year stretch. And at KB, I stand 10 toes down all the time for KB. So saying that, is a lot. But I mean, look, he's 30, 31 years old. I don't know how much more he has left. He's going to be somewhat expensive because he's still on the market and he's a capable player. So you put one-on-one together, he's asking for a good chunk of money. I just don't know how that matches what the Titans want to do right now, right? I don't think that they're a team that should go out and sign an older player that has 1 to 2 more years left. I don't see the benefit there. I think you should continue to look at what you have, i.e., obviously Amani Hooker's on the contract, but Elijah Molden. You know, you talk about the draft. Okay, so you got, I don't know if you got, going back to Wake Forest, another prospect from Wake Forest, Malik Mustafa. We had him on talking with TD at the Senior Bowl. And this is a guy, you think Bob Sanders. Now, I'm not comparing like the greatness. I'm not saying he's going to be a Hall of Fame safety, but I'm saying you look at that style of play, right? Always able to make the tackle, you know, no regard for his body, able to drop back and have some range and coverage. He's somebody. There's a few other safeties. Obviously, you look at the top end of it, you got Tyler Nubin, but I don't think that they go for a safety that early. Another one that nobody really talks about, and his name popped into my mind when Dennard Wilson was talking about what he wants in secondary players, and he talked about versatility. Marcus Banks, Mississippi State. Nobody is talking about him, and I'm going to dive into some of his film tonight again and post some things. But this is a guy, like, I've seen him play both safety spots. I've seen him play nickel. He's able to play all positions basically in the secondary, and he's someone that will probably be around, you know, either late day 3 or undrafted free agent.
Yeah, and I always, you know, I'll be on the show, and I think there's a couple positions that we can wait till the later rounds of the draft.
Yeah.
I do believe safety is one of them as well, same as linebacker. But I was going to ask you about the nose tackles, man. I know we got rid of Tier Tart, and we've also got rid of Denico Autry, but also, you know, what we gonna do at D tackle and DN, you know, 3-tech DN. So,
well, let me tell you this: DJ Reader was very close. That was a move that it was all those rumors of interest and all that. Yeah, that was something that it should have come to fruition. But I mean, I can't blame him. I would want to work with Terrell Williams too. You know what I mean? And that's no slight on Tracy Walker, the D-line coach here. But you look at other options. I mean, again, it's probably going to go to the draft. But TK McClendon is like, he's not like a big time player, but he's someone down the stretch. You know, he filled in for them. Colburn, also who's a Texas guy. We'll get into a couple Texas guys next that he was teammates with. You know, that's another option there. You got Quentin Bohanna, you know, 3-6 Mafia's son. you got him, but that's basically it. I'm not sure what the deal with Kyle Pecco is. I know he's not, you know, under contract, but I don't know about with the injury. He had a late injury, so those are options. But you look at the draft. I mean, Devontae Sweat is like that's a man. I mean, we're talking about 370 pounds, and he's someone like you look at him, you're just like, and then you see him move. Like I watched him during the Senior Bowl. The center from Arkansas, I forget the poor dude's name, but like, he was trying to sink and anchor, and he couldn't do it against the Bulls. Like he would hop back, sink, hop back again, sink, and then the third one, he was just like, man, forget it. You know what I mean? And Sweat just ran him over. But then the other thing that I like about Sweat is he's a guy that, and it's funny because I don't understand why there's questions about his effort, because I've watched him run down screens to the other side. I watched him run down running plays to the other side. There's a lot of effort there, if you ask me. So you got him. You got Byron Murphy, his teammate, smaller, a little more sudden, faster. There's another guy, though, out of Ohio State, and I really got turned on to him more at the Senior Bowl, and that's Michael Hall Jr. And then watching Joe Alt film, he and I can never pronounce the guy's name, the DN, number 44 for Ohio State. They were doing yeah, I can't pronounce it. I'm not even going to try it. They were doing stunts and stuff like that. And like he gave Alt a little bit of trouble a couple of times. And he's so sudden, like think that Aaron Donald type of quickness off the ball, not big, but still like cop diesel. You know, I watched him, you know, everybody talks about the Oregon center. You know, I watched him smoothly escort him back to what would have been the quarterback in multiple drills.
Okay. Well, just you speaking of Senior Bowl, I was gonna ask you who are some standouts at the Senior Bowl and the Combine that you were looking at like, yeah, this dude's gonna be legit, or the Titans need to go after this guy.
Yeah, Cam Hart and Kyrie Jackson again coming to mind just because they're so big and how well they moved. I like corners that can cover slants and other short routes, right? The ones that the receivers try to explode off the ball, break down, and then come back to the ball. You see a bigger corner that's able to, get out of his pedal and transition and fire on the football and use the length to knock it down. That's what both of them do. So I like those guys. Senior Bowl, who else was there that stood out? I mentioned Sweat. You talk receivers. Obviously, going in, I really wanted to see Xavier Legette, and that first practice was a little, it was okay. Then the second one he showed, here he was hurt, but he still did his thing. He's someone, Roman Wilson. I really like Roman Wilson. He and Quinyon Mitchell, they had back and forth. In fact, I told a story on the Power Hour last week. After one of the practices, they gathered up and they said, "Hey, Quinyon, come to the middle, call somebody out. We're going to end practice on your one-on-one." And he called out Roman Wilson. Now I was standing next to Roman Wilson, and he tapped me. He said, "Hey, watch this." He proceeded to go out there. He routed Quinyon something real vicious, and then to end the play, because he came off the ball and he routed it and he leaned like this and then exploded out to the outbreaking route. And the ball was a little penance. He threw it a little bit behind him, but he went up and he caught it like this and then managed to torque his body to where his butt cheeks hit before the sideline. And one cheek is 2 feet, so it was good.
Wow.
Yeah, I really like Roman Wilson too, man. Especially he ran 4.3 at the combine. I was like, oh yeah, he got real speed,
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, no, he got real speed. There was a bunch of guys too, man. Like he was one. There was a corner from Virginia State. I forget his last name is Drew. I forget his first name, but he was pretty sticky also. Just kind of going back to some of the ones. Then at the Senior Bowl, I like talking to Chop Robinson, and obviously what he did out there was ridiculous. Who else? The inside linebackers, Peyton Wilson. I really liked talking to him and then watching what he was able to do. He tested well in the 4.4 range. Former wrestler. Talked to him a little bit about being a quarterback of the defense and how important communication is. Had the same conversation with Jalen Ford, the Texas linebacker. If you could get your hands on Texas film, it's pretty fun to watch. Because you got three, just that triangle right there in the middle. The 2D tackles and the inside backer. It's fun to watch those guys. So he was another one.
Yeah. So seeing the free agency, you've been at the Senior Bowl, you've been at the press conference and everything. The year's starting to come down, and what Titans fans is really just wanting to know right now. Where do you think the Titans are going to pick at number 7? We're going to go left tackle. We're going to go wide receiver. Yeah. Where do you see the Tennessee Titans doing at 7 or trade back even?
It really depends on how the board falls, to be honest with you. And I know that's a generic answer, but if Joe Alt is there, you absolutely have to consider it, right? But here's the problem with Joe Alt is that okay, you draft him. Now he's a little bit of a waist bender, and at 6'9", that's understandable. But for the most part, you draft him, you put him at left tackle, you're good for at least 9 years, right? Because you'll do the 5 years, and then you sign him to a 3-4 year extension. You'll have him for 9 years. He's gonna be solid. But it's just you don't want to be that guy that said, okay, we're gonna take Joe Alt, what we know will be good, and forego Rockbauer or forego Malik Willis. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. And everybody would say, well, tight end at 7? Yeah, but you know what? Bowers isn't exactly a tight end, right? He's a weapon. It goes back to like when people got mad at the Lions for drafting Jahmyr Gibbs. They didn't draft a running back. They drafted a playmaker. And that's what Brock Bowers is. So at 7, like I could see it. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying I could see it. Obviously, Malik Neighbors. I don't think Rome Odunze is exactly right there with them. With Malik Neighbors, but I think you have to consider him if he's on the board. And then you always have the option of trading back, and the trade back is interesting because You don't want to go too far back, right? Because this is a team that needs premier players. But if you could go back and maybe acquire a third-round pick and still be in that range of Talisay Fuaga, Troy Fautano, nobody's talking about Fautano, and he's a legit left tackle, right? No one's talking about that Washington line, period. Because you look at Roger Rosengard on the flip side, now he was the right tackle. Now, mind you, Michael Penix is left-handed. So the right tackle is essentially the left tackle in their scheme, right? Because he's blocking for Penix's blind side. I watched him flip to the left side and have some good reps and one-on-ones, Roger Rosengard, that is. So, you could get him, probably mid-second or something like that. I mean, there's a lot of things that you could do in that trade back. Look, if they trade back in the 20s, Keon Coleman is a guy that, I know everybody said the 40, but look, man, the GPS doesn't lie. He hit 22 miles an hour during that 40. So he's not slow. He just doesn't have that long speed. You know what I mean? And then you could go check the gauntlet. He had the fastest time in the last 2 years in the gauntlet, as far as running and catching the ball. Last time I checked, that's what you pay somebody to do. So missed me with the 40-yard dash stuff. I don't put too much stock in that 4.61. But nevertheless, he's someone that in that 20 range also. You even look at Brian Thomas. So different areas where they could trade back will open up pockets of different players. I think they can't go wrong, whatever they do, honestly.
Yeah, I think because of Brock Bowers and RJ vouches for it all the time. He's big on that too. And I think like for me and a lot of other Titans fans is that we saw how Kyle Pitts was praised and then how his NFL career came. So we're afraid that from a franchise that ain't really done too well in the draft, that sometimes a sure shot like Brock Bowers might not always be a sure shot, especially when we have so many holes. But man, he's a playmaker and he can play in any position. He's tight end, he's slot, he's fullback, he's running end arounds, he's running all types of different routes. So I wouldn't be mad at it, especially if Joe Alt's not there. I just have a hard time for where we're going to pick at, especially at 7 now with some of the things we've done in free agency. We can kind of really do almost anything and not hurt ourselves. But if you make the wrong move with this situation, it's gonna be detrimental to us. But we're in a really good position, more than I thought we was by the end of the season when we fired Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, no, without a doubt, a much better position. And Mike Vrabel, for it just didn't work, and it was one of those things. Like it's like a bad marriage, right? Where you guys part ways amicably, and you're just like, hey, we're probably better off as friends. And I think that's basically what happened in this situation, where it got to be too much on one side trying to cater to the other side, and it was just too much. So you look at now, they have a new direction. From what I've gathered, the energy in the building is incredible. So that's another good thing, and I think it's a step to a more modern offense as well, which is what this franchise has needed. And look, man, Derrick Henry's Derrick Henry. I understand giving him the ball most of the times. I would have done it too, but now it's time to move on to something different, and that's what they've done.
How do you feel about Treylon Burks?
I was just about to ask that, bro.
Yeah. I seen Trey say somebody, so
Yeah, so Treylon Burks, I had a lot of talks with him, just like, no mic, no nothing, just talking, man, like where you at, how's everything, So I developed kind of a relationship with him. I want him to get another chance. I really do. He's been a victim of obviously injury, but Treylon, for me, the main thing is the mental side of it, right? And he's one of those guys, and it's funny because I talked to Derek Mason about this, and we kind of shared a brain. Like there's certain receivers you have to get the football to early in the game. And if you don't, it may not be a good day for him. And that's Steve Smith was like that. Randy Moss was like that. So it's not like, that's a trait of a bum. Like we're talking about greatness here, that has that trait too. So he's one of those. And that's why, if you guys remember, it was almost every week. Hey, what are you guys looking to do as far as Treylon is concerned? Like, how can you get him involved a little more early? And those type of things, because that's really the belief that I have. If you get him cooking early, he's going to have a good day for you, as long as he can stay healthy. So I think, give him another shot in this offense, which would hopefully provide him more targets, and take advantage of what he could do. Treylon Burks is not a guy that you just, you put out at X and you say, hey, look, man, I need you to run this post perfectly. No. You move him around and you find ways to get him the football. You motion him and run the dagger route. You do those types of things. You run him on jet sweeps. You give him those smoke screens and those type of things, which allows him to make plays with the ball because that's what he does best.
Okay, so TD, now you just got finished talking about Treylon Burks and moving them around throughout the offense. Another guy that's pretty much the same way is Calvin Ridley. And he talked about that in his introductory press conference about how he was used in Jacksonville. And just wanted to ask you, how could Calvin Ridley benefit Treylon Burks and vice versa?
Well, I tell you the way that could work, and you add DeAndre Hopkins to that too, because you figure when they're going to start 11 personnel, 3 receivers, right? And all 3 of those guys could play all 3 positions, which is a good thing. You can move them across, and what it does is give you opportunities to set up matchups, right? So let's say you're going against, I don't know, pick a team and pick the worst of the 3 corners on that team. You could put Treylon Burks against that corner more and give him a favorable matchup, right? And then also having Ridley, that's clearly he's going to attract the number 1. He's always going to attract the lockdown corner. That's going to be the way it goes. And I like having a dude like him who's that dog, right? Like he wants that, you know what I mean? Bring it. And he has that mindset. And Treylon does too. You know what I mean? He has the mindset too, but he just hasn't proven that he could do it. That mindset of, hey, look, nobody's going to cover him. And I like that he has that. So you could just move him across the formation and find different matchups. And you have a guy who's going to draw most of the coverage. And look, Ridley's a deep threat too. Like, don't get him messed up. Like, he could get vertical on you. And that's going to clear things up for Burks, who could work the middle. But Burks is also a deep threat, especially off of play action. You saw what he did. My favorite corner in the league, Jair Alexander. You know what I mean? 2 years ago, that play action, he caught that thing. You saw it. He said, you're too small. You're too small.
Yeah, he done him dirty. But Teddy, I'm gonna bring up a couple of questions that was in the chat. First one from my guy, Dr. Turner, man. Shout out to Dr. Turner, by the way. What do you think what do the Titans think about Otis Reese?
Yeah, that's my guy, man, Justin. Dr. Turner. I think they believe Otis Reese is a capable player. I know Mike Vrabel, he was one of Mike Vrabel's guys, but I think there's carryover there and the versatility again. I mean, he's someone that, you don't want him playing too much in coverage, but if need be, you can have him do that. And really, it's the hustle to the ball. Like, that's something that he always brings. And then he's also a special teams contributor. So they like that versatility with him.
Okay, and then we got Sports Tackler in the building with us tonight, man. Sports Tackler, shout out to you, man. This dude right here, he always be turning us up, man. But he says, was there a scenario where Marvin Harrison Jr. will fall to 7?
Yeah, there is a scenario. If you look at J.J. McCarthy coming in, so you look, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, J.J. McCarthy. The scenario would be that a team likes Malik Neighbors more than Marvin Harrison Jr., which there are teams out there, right? So you look at 5, Malik Neighbors, or you say the Giants. Yeah, let's say the Giants go Neighbors, the Chargers go Joe Alt, which I think they're gonna. It'll be tough. Like, I wouldn't side with them doing it with given their receiver situation, but if it went that way, Marvin Harrison Jr. is right there, and Titans fans could rejoice.
I would love
that jersey that day.
That's how good he is, and then the extra salt in the wound, knowing that his dad was a Colts great, and now he plays for the Titans, and the Colts fans have to sit on that for the rest of however long we have Marvin Harrison Jr. He's talent on top of it.
Yeah, man. Y'all make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, tell a friend about us, blah, blah, blah. This, that, and third. Man, we got the guy up in the building with us tonight, man. TD, once again, thank you for joining us, TD. Yeah. And got Mr. Titan in the building as well, man. Y'all make sure y'all go check out Mr. Titan on YouTube, man. He trying to help us turn up too, man. He always coming through and supporting us, man, telling us to hit that like button. And also, too, TD, he said it's always great to see you, and he appreciate the work like we all do.
Oh, for sure, man. Yeah, I appreciate that support, man. Definitely.
And I know Mr. Titan says 46. That's 46 on YouTube. Currently, we're at 689 people streaming live right now watching us. So we appreciate y'all. And truly appreciate
it. Five-star Slick trying to tell you to get it right up over there.
No, he's on YouTube. He is right. There's 49 on YouTube. He is correct. But I just want to everybody, we made sure we shout out everybody, not just the YouTubers. We got Facebook and Twitter in here too.
We in the building.
Yes.
So I got a question for you, Teron. It's about two cornerbacks, man. You know what I'm saying? One of them that we ain't too high on, and another one that we're very high on, you know what I'm saying, in this league, man. The first one I'd like to ask you is, so what do you think about Caleb Farley this year, man? What do you think he
health first. I mean, I know in talking to him during the locker cleanup, he has said that he still isn't all the way back. And even where he is a progression from where he was. So remember, mid-season, he had said that he couldn't feel like his calf triggering and having that quick twitch like he has. So anything you get from him, honestly, is like a bonus because of where. Now, I remember when he had that injury, I was told that his career was over. And that was from people in his camp. You know what I mean? So to see him able to come back and at least be eligible to play is something. But yeah, whatever you get it's just bonus, unfortunately.
Pretty much just stay hit up there and boom, he in there.
In the second corner is obviously, everybody's been talking about Diana Rossini. What you know about the L'Jarius Sneed trade, man? Are the Titans in the talks of it any, or is it just?
That's not something that's really in the mix anymore. There were heavy discussions. Well, I'm not going to say heavy. There were discussions, but the price was always too much. And I think when you look at that organization, 7 draft picks, and Rand Carthon had the hustle to add 3 draft picks, to get them to 7. I don't think that he was willing to. He and the group, I don't think that they were willing to part with the compensation that it would have required, and the Chiefs' price was too high. Now, Corey Jackson, real quick, he had asked favorite silhouette of the Jays. There's no discussion. It's the 3s, man. Like, there's no discussion whatsoever. I got 2 pair actually on the way. They should be arriving tomorrow. I don't know if you guys did the green glow, but I got those.
Man, I was looking at them, man. I said, man, I better save my damn money, man. I'm trying to do some things, man. So okay. I had to pull back on the Jays, man. But I did go after the Bread Foles. I had to add him.
I get it. The Red 4s were fire too.
Yeah.
So I'll go on to my next question. We can get to free agency talk, man. I got 2 questions for you. One is, who do you think the Titan fans should look out for in the Titans signing next? We could probably sign next. I don't know if you probably answered that or not.
It's been quiet, man.
Yeah, it has been quiet.
Yeah, I guess Andrews Pete. He's here. I don't know, man. Like I thought Jerome Baker. I thought Chase Young. Like I thought those were 2 moves that were going to be made. So right now, I can't tell you honestly because I really thought those were moves. So.
And also, we could talk about some of the free agent signings that we got from Tony Pollard, Murray, Cushenberry, Bay, and Ridley, man. And tell me what you think about all those guys.
Yeah, well, we'll start with Tony Pollard. I think, look, we have to look at that through the same lens as the Treylon Burks situation, right? Just because they traded A.J. Brown and drafted Treylon Burks doesn't mean that Treylon Burks is coming in to be the next A.J. Brown. Treylon Burks is coming in to be Treylon Burks. Allow him to be Treylon Burks. Tony Pollard isn't coming in to be Derrick Henry, right? It's a complete shift offensively. Pollard fits what this coaching staff wants to do. And what they want to do is not be predictable. Brian Callahan, Nick Holz, they want to be able to call whatever play they want regardless of the personnel that's in there. Unfortunately, they couldn't do that. Tim Kelly and Mike Vrabel and the crew, they couldn't do that with Derrick. It was like a set of plays with Derrick Henry and a set of plays with Tyjae Spears. But now they got two players. And by the way, Tony Pollard runs behind his pads. Like, you go back and watch him. He runs hard. You know, we know Tyjae Spears runs hard. So now you got two players that are basically the same. And it's a situation where, you know, I know there were times after games where Tyjae Spears, you know, they need to have a compliment for him. I'll put it that way. Like they need to share carries, you know, to keep him at the peak performing level. So I think in doing that, it was a good move. Now you look at Ridley. I mean, we talked about Ridley, the versatility he brings and how he becomes the top weapon, and he and Hopkins, they'll complement each other and they'll help things with Burks. You have that. I think when you look at Awuzie, I think now you go back to 2022. I know he didn't have high interceptions, but he was pretty sticky in coverage. I'm not going to call him locked down like, you know, Darius Slay and Patrick Surtain Jr., et cetera, but he was a really good cover dude. You know what I mean? The physicality is there too. So I think that's a good sign, and they desperately needed a veteran to come back in that secondary. So you have that. Trying to go through some of the other ones. Lloyd Cushenberry, right? We talk about the passing game getting better, right? What you ask any quarterback, the thing that they hate the most is having that pocket collapsing into their face from the interior. It's no coincidence that you have over the last 3 years, you know, there's a whole bunch of defensive tackles, interior guys getting paid a lot of money. And guess what? They're starting to respond to that. You saw Robert Hunt get a $100 million contract. Guards are getting paid because that protecting the pocket from the inside is important. So I think you get a guy like Cushenberry, who is clearly not going to get forklifted back. You know, all praise to Aaron Brewer and run blocking and all that stuff, but it just wasn't there at pass pro, and that pocket was getting pushed back too much. So you have that. I think Cushenberry just instantly upgrades the offensive line to another level. Sadiq Charles, we'll see. You know, he'll probably compete for the right guard spot. Trying to go through some of these other ones. Jack Gibbons, Dr. Gibby, as Vrabel called him. He's someone that I think, you know, will be a depth guy. They'll use him in special teams. He may end up starting. Now, do you want him starting next to Kenneth Murray? Not really. I would probably start Otis Reese before him next to Kenneth Murray. But the fact of the matter is they need to go get a Peyton Wilson, a Jalen Brooks, or even there's a guy named Jordan McGee from Temple, from the crib. That's another one that could be a late round addition. But trying to think of the other side. Nick Westbrook and Kenny, you know, he's just reliable, right? I told Jared, I said, look, man, if the apocalypse comes, like, you're gonna find me with Nick Westbrook and Kenny, because all he said, he knows how to survive, right? Like that dude, they've tried to push him out so many, and it just won't happen. You know what I mean? So yeah, he's a legit option for them, always available. You know, and when called upon, he'll do what he has to do. So I'm trying to think of the other signings. So that's pretty much like most of the significant ones. Dobe, yeah, those are the ones that stand out to me.
Yeah, you brought up a good guy. So he's been, NWI is RJ's guy, so he's been on here. Hey, so it was like, hey, he's Mr. Reliable. Why is all this NWI hate? So he was happy to see.
I just don't understand the hate at this point. Like the man was undrafted and he just keep catching TDs, and I'd be like, why do y'all hate this man? I don't understand him. I get it. He's not a talented receiver like that.
Yeah,
he definitely come here and catch the ball. And
that's the thing. He's gotten better and better. I joked with him as a rookie, like. I always like to just talk to the dudes, like, you know, no, Mike, let's just chop it up. And I would always pull him aside in camp. I'd be like, look, man, you got to stop getting into those altercations with the football, man. It's your friend. Like, stop fighting the ball. Let it come to you. And he would laugh about it. But you saw him gradually, you know, with the help of Rob Moore and the jugs machine and everything, he started to catch the football better. And, I mean, that's an example of the way he improved. And then you look at the way he was able to become a little more sudden with his routes and his releases. We'll see what is better this year, but he's just improved every year.
Yeah. No,
yeah. So
he's a solid 3 or 4. No, go ahead.
Okay. But yeah, what I was gonna bring up,
Read it. Hold on.
Hold on, bring it back.
what have been
Yeah,
said,
that's
man.
what I
Oh
laughed
my
at. That
God.
one. Yeah.
Hey, but get the job done.
Oh man, come on.
Oh. Job done.
Man, y'all done started getting crazy, man. We can't do this, man. We got professional people up in the building tonight, man.
Hey, listen, man. That's a perfect correlation right there. You know, spirit comes through in the clutch. You need it in the clutch, one of those last minute flights, man. You just pack your backpack and you're good to go.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. I hopefully I'll never go through that experience, man. But Jesus,
It's not that bad, man. I've done it. You know, shot back to Philly real quick. It's not bad, man.
Bro, I've seen so many TikToks. They scare the hell out of me. I see everybody with duct tape, doors flying open, seats.
Yeah.
I'm like,
nah, that's an exaggeration. I'm not saying I do it all the time or anyone should, but you know, in a pinch, you do what you gotta do.
Hey, no,
for sure.
Somebody said you fly Spirit and you wind up as one.
Oh, wow.
They get.
Y'all ain't making it no better for me, man. I'm gonna mess around to fly Spirit one day, and I'm gonna be thinking about everything y'all done seen.
Yeah, that's wild.
But yeah, man, what I want to say to you, and you brought up a good point about interior pressure, and I know all last season, I know you've seen it like a mug, man. People talking about, well, why did they just move Skorupski over the left tackle, man? Just, you know, explain a little bit more about, you know, interior pressure and the Titans addressing that right side too, because I mean it looks clear as day. Peter Skorupski is going to stay at left guard, but we still got questions at right guard and right tackle.
Yeah, that right side is going to be interesting. Like I said, Sadiq. It'll be, you know, Sadiq Charles, Dylan Radins, Nicholas Petit-Ferrer, those guys, Daniel Brunskill. You know, I would imagine the two starters come from there. But I'll also say this. We talked about trade back options. J.C. Latham is a guy that, you know, if they move back a little bit, I could see him being a selection and him going to start in that right tackle as well. So, but to answer your question about the left guard, and it's funny because, like, a lot of people did complain about drafting the guard at 11, but again, it goes back to what we talked about. I mean, going back to Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, all those guys have always said that they hated that interior pressure. And you talk about a team that wants to throw the ball down the field, right? Let's say, you know, Will Levis, he wants to push the ball down the field. What does he typically do? He has to step up just a little bit, and he's throwing and he's following through like that, right? The last thing he wants to do is have the center's helmet or the guard's helmet here, and he's following through, and he bangs his hand on the helmet. Just as Drew Brees, because that was the final injury that he had. And quarterbacks, like, they have this fear of that, right? And that's something that they don't want to even have to deal with. So that's why it's important. But then also, you look at how many times have you seen now tackles do it right? If tackles do it right, you always see those speedy edge rushers, right? Those guys with that quick outside rush, the Harold Landry types. If the tackle does it right, he's dropping 45 degrees and he's just clubbing him right down. All right, go ahead, run yourself out of the play because you're going to run too deep. The quarterback is able to step up because that pocket, that triangle, that guard center guard triangle is secure, so he can step up in the pocket, right? So that kind of discounts the outside pass rush. Now, of course, you have the twists and stunts and stuff like that could obviously interfere with it. And then that's when the guards have to make sure they're on communication, they're getting their hands like that, and they're switching and those things. But the interior part of it, in my opinion, is just as important as the tackles because they help negate each other. You know what I mean? So for me, I don't see a problem with having a premier player at guard. And yeah, people will say, you know, oh, well, you know, you don't see guards drafted high, et cetera, et cetera. But one thing you're starting to see now is, like, last time I checked, the guards in this free agency period, they got paid. You know what I mean? So there's an importance put on the interior part of the pocket.
Yeah, and then you was talking about Will Levis there too, and he, like, something that was bragged about him last year is like his checks at the line and his protection. Now that teamed up with Bill Callahan and how he's going to be. MPF could be possibly a right tackle for us, but how strong is Will Levis's arm for us? Because like we've seen him like just flick the ball down the field at flick of a wrist. We haven't seen him do that QB where they take that step in and then that full body comes behind and they hunk it down the field. We ain't seen that from Will Levis, and we've seen some throws. So like, how truly strong is Will Levis's arm?
Yeah, I'll put it right up there with anybody's arm in the league, to be honest with you. And, you know, I feel that his arm is really strong. And a couple throws come to mind. Obviously, the one to RJ, your guy, Nick Westbrook and Kenny in the Falcons game. I mean, look, man, like you're rolling this way and you're throwing the ball. Yeah, it only traveled yards this way, like 50 or so yards, but it went from this side of the field to that opposite corner end zone. So we're talking about like 75 yards just going. That throw right there. And then if you remember the Steelers game where it was actually that fourth down throw. And I think it was Burks that ran the outbreaking route. But he dropped back and he kind of slid to his left in the pocket, and he just a quick dart, and that thing was like, and then went right there to Burks, and he caught it. You know, for I think it was like a 14-yard gain, like darn near in the Steelers end zone. And the thing that I loved about it that was extra dope is it came right after they played Renegade. I thought that was like the dopest thing. You know what I mean? Like it told me, like, yo, this dude, like he got the, yeah, I mean, the huevos, you know what I mean? To make a play like that coming off of, you know, that moment. Because, you know, in Pittsburgh, they play that defense is hype. Man, it shut the crowd down quickly.
Yeah, that's one thing I really like. That's when I knew like Webb was just gonna be good, man. Because when I seen that moment, how they was jumping in the air and this, that, and the other, and he just made a throw between two Steeler defenders and catch first down. Like it was like, yeah, you don't see that from normal rookie quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? There's only a few that's doing that. Like,
that was a dope play.
Yeah, and to see that fire and fight in Will Levis's eyes continuous, like we haven't seen that since Steve McNair. It's kind of the things we asked from Mariota, then we asked Tannehill to kind of have this talent, and he didn't have it. So seeing Will Levis come out there, and even like during the year where he got on the D-hop a little bit, that was still good to see, because so many times in the past years we've seen QBs just come off the field like, it's okay, guys, we'll get it next time. And no, we need, sometimes you got to get in somebody's ass like, hey, no, we expect excellence. We're trying to get shit done. Execute, we practice it.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man.
No,
what was I about to say?
Go ahead. Oh, go ahead. Oh, no, I'm gonna say, so we can get away from football for like a couple seconds. How you feel about the new stadium, man?
Yeah. Look, man, I'm excited about it because I know that's going to bring other events here. I'm a Nashville native now, man. Like this is my city. So the more events here, the better. Obviously, the goal is to have a Super Bowl here. I can't wait to see when that happens. You got WrestleMania, Final Four, all of that good stuff. And I actually just drove by where they're building it now. It's a little congested. You know, you got to change things. Because I like to go and park near there and go on the bridge and just, you know, sit on the pedestrian bridge, smoke a cigar, and just relax. Like, it's peaceful to me, especially on a nice day. So you can't do that as easily now because the parking is taken up. But yeah, man, I'm excited about the new stadium for sure.
Yeah, TD got a couple more questions in the chat, man.
We can run through whatever.
Yeah, most definitely, man. So the first question is from my guy Rashad. Shout out to you, brother. TD, does Aaron Rodgers retire and move Big Jeff to #1 defensive tackle in the league, or should motivate him to be?
It should motivate him to be. Honestly, regardless, he should be motivated to be the top one. But look, like we talked about being a fan and being objective. I'm as big a Jeffrey Simmons fan as most. But Chris Jones, I mean, you can't really go against Chris Jones.
Yeah.
And, you know, Dexter Lawrence, an argument could be made. I'll entertain it. I'm not really going to agree with it, but I'll entertain it. You got some who will say Quentin Williams. You know, that's another one. I'll entertain it. Even you look at Justin Matabuke. He had 13 sacks last year, so you got to put him in the mix. And that's what I'm saying about this league, right? Where the importance on the interior part of whether it's D-line or guard, center, like it's important because there's so many more guys coming along, right? And Christian Wilkins, you put him in the mix, right? You could name a bunch of them.
Yeah, you got some grown men playing on that interior defense, so you got to have some grown men that can block them.
And the thing is with guard too, like it's harder to hide guard. You know what I mean? Because everything is so sudden. And yeah, your center could help out a bit. That is true. Just like the guard helps out the tackle, but it's just harder to hide a guard than it is the tackle. And when stuff goes wrong from your interior, the sacks happen quickly. The pressure happens quickly.
Yeah, most definitely. We got Lewis Rich in the building, man. Shout out to Lewis. What is the surprise player / position you can see us taking at 7, if not wide receiver or offensive tackle? Mitchell Turner.
Yeah, I think that surprise position we talked about earlier, Brock Bowers, is the surprise that I could see them going. So that would be the one for me. Mitchell, so he's talking about Quinyon Mitchell, I would imagine, the corner, who, in my opinion, he's the best corner in this draft. People will argue Nate Wiggins, and I'll entertain it. Wiggins is a little more athletic. I think Mitchell is stronger, but and then you got Terry and Arnold is another one that will be in the conversation. But yeah, I think Mitchell's the best. I don't know about 7. I probably wouldn't go that route.
Right. Okay, we got Mon in the building, man. Shout out to my boy Mon, man. Thank you for watching us tonight, man. Y'all go make sure y'all check out his podcast as well, man. You can go on his show. He posts all his content up there, man. Great dude, by the way. He says, is there any edge coming out in the draft that we could pick up in the later rounds?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how late you're talking. I think if you look at 106, Adisa Bakari, excuse me, that's an agent. Adisa Isaac is the guy who out of Penn State. That's another, if you like to watch film, that's a fun defense to watch because you got Isaac and Chop. Then you got they have 3 really good DBs, Kellen King. They got a bunch of, so you got those guys, but mainly Isaac. He's someone that I think he's not like the super twitchy type of pass rush or anything like that, but he's angular. He's able to turn the corner well. He has the full toolbox. He's like an advanced pass rusher. He was one of the guys that Olu Fashanu, or Fashanu, however you pronounce his name. He has said that, going against Isaac as well as Chop really helped him develop as a pass protector. So, yeah, I mean, that's a guy later. I'm trying to think of, I mean, there's a few. You look at Kansas State, they have a guy who will be like a developmental one. There's a few, but I think if I had to name one, it would be Isaac. That would be the one I would look at.
All right, so we're gonna knock out 2 birds with 1 stone here, because my guy Allen, he's got questions about getting Big Jeff some help, and my guy Pastor Williams, man, y'all shout out to Pastor Williams, man. Make sure you go on his page as well. Turn him up, man. Pastor doing great things in the community as well, man.
Yeah.
So they pretty much asking about Big Jeff getting them some help, and also
Vondre Sweat.
Yeah. I'm about to slaughter the shit out that man name. But yeah, what do you think about him in the 2nd round and getting Big Jeff some help?
Yeah, it's funny. So I talked to Sweat a little bit after media availability at the Senior Bowl, and he was telling me how he watched Jeffrey Simmons, a lot of him, because he likes Simmons' hand usage. So, yeah, if he could come here, that would be really good for him because he'll be playing with somebody that he's watched a lot of. But I think, yeah, they have to get him help. And that was one of the things that I highlighted in my story that's coming out tomorrow, is they need some interior help, because you look, what they have on the roster is combined 15 starts at interior defensive lineman. Like, that's not good enough. They have to, either, get a guy like Tavondre Sweat, Byron Murphy, those types, or they're going to have to sign somebody, and the options aren't really much that's left. But you look at Sweat, I think he's not a guy who's going to get you a bunch of sacks. He'll get you pressure just because that bull rush that he has. He said he doesn't like to use it all the time because he gets bored. Hey, listen, if it works, keep using it. You know what I mean? And I'm sure that's what the coaches are telling him. But he's someone against the run. I mean, you drop him there, and you're going to have 2 gaps. Like, they're going to be occupied. so that's going to help against the run and relieve Jeffrey Simmons of those double teams that he would get, when teams are running the football, because they won't be able to do that because you have Sweat occupying a couple gaps. And that's going to keep things clean for guys like Kenneth Murray and whoever the inside linebacker next to him is. They'll be able to come up and make plays on the running backs.
Yeah, because you kind of saw that with Sweat at the Senior Bowl. Like, it was working. Then he would go try to do something else, and it didn't work. Like, bro, just stick to what you're doing, and it's good. It don't matter. Bro. It works to a finesse. So that we've heard some talks about for trading back, and it kind of goes along with this too, about trading back possibility. And Vikings are kind of looking to try to get up in there and try to compete with these QBs. Do you think if it was a possibility for Titans in Minnesota to make a trade, that if we would require both their first round picks this year for 7 and something paired off later, would that be something that's too much to ask for the Vikings in that situation from a QB needing team?
No, it's not too much to ask because, if you look, most of the times, like to flip a first round pick, like to move up like that, a team is going to ask for, all right, I need 2 first round picks, right? So it will be one this year, like a swap, and then next year, first round pick. At least in this way, if the Vikings were to do that, you're giving up both. You're kind of like taking the hit immediately, you know what I'm saying? And you're getting your quarterback that you want. So I don't think that's too much to ask at all. And that would be butter for the Titans right there, because then, you could get a like a first round haul of Troy Fautanu and, at 23, Ryan Thomas. Like,
yeah.
If I was a Titans fan, I'd be happy with that.
And I'm not gonna lie. I'm looking at some of the teams, man, that's behind us, man. I don't think anybody's gonna get off, which is crazy. Like, we might be able to get off at 11. If you look at the teams,
there's a chance. There's definitely a chance. The Falcons probably won't. And then you're right. I can see it depends on the Jets. But
they just got Tyron Smith, so I don't know.
If they want to draft off, like you look at the Eagles, like they had Jason Peters. And they spent an early pick on Lane Johnson, flipped him to the right, and they were good for years. You know what I mean? So I could see that. But, to your point, there's a shot at 11.
Yeah. And I feel like you could tax Vikings, too, because Justin Jefferson's came out and said, hey, if you don't figure out this QB situation, I'm going to leave. So it's not only you got to find your future guy, you got to find a future guy to make your future guy happy to stick around for the future as well. So
I don't know that JJ McCarthy does that, but
I told you, man, I've been hyping up JJ McCarthy on Twitter.
I'll say this: Jim Harbaugh, a noted quarterback guru, a guy who's all about the quarterbacks. He signed a 5-star athlete, a 5-star quarterback, and proceeded to continue to be extra run heavy. In fact, we know the Penn State game, 32 straight carries. If your quarterback is that guy, that's not it.
Yeah, they did just run down their throat. So I asked you, do you see Treylon Burks getting traded at all?
Yeah,
that's a possibility. Definitely a possibility. I don't know what the conversation would bring, but there's for sure a possibility.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about Kyle Phillips and where he stands with the roster?
Yeah, he's another one that's really, like you got the Lad McConkey, Ricky Pearsall, which that's a pretty interesting. And who would you take? I personally like Ricky Pearsall because he's so saucy with the routes, but you got those types of guys, Malachi Corley. How would that affect the Kyle Phillips, right? As far as the slot is concerned. So, he's one of those ones where he kind of played himself out of that versatility aspect as far as, being able to return punts. So he didn't do himself any favors last year. It's just pretty much just a slot, and that may end up hurting.
Yeah, and then Mike Patton asks, what are your thoughts on Weaver going into this season?
Yeah, Weaver's another one. Like, he's a high-effort guy. He's going to, for the most part, be good against the run. Sometimes he gets caught out of position and doesn't set the edge appropriately. But, look, he's a depth player. And I think, having a guy like that you could bump inside and play some D tackle as well, will help you, that versatility. He kind of will slide into that Danico Autry role, in my opinion, but I don't think he's going to do it as well as Danico did.
Yeah,
All right, and we got some from Tip too, man. Shout out to Tip, man.
Right.
Who's the best? Who's the best pass blocking left tackle in the draft, TD? In your opinion, of course.
I think it's Alt. I really do. I think it's Alt. Fashiono is intriguing. You have the athleticism, which is cool, but you watch the Ohio State game, and he struggled a bit, you know, in what I watched there, where there were times where he wasn't controlled enough. You caught him lunging and missing, you know what I mean? And that ended up hurting him. I think Joe Alt, there really isn't a conversation there for me.
Cool. And we're gonna tackle this one more, and I'm gonna toss it over to RJ.
Okay.
What do you expect to be done in middle linebacker?
Yeah, I think it's going to be the draft. I haven't really caught wind of guys that they, you know, were talking to. At the Senior Bowl, they talk to everybody. So if somebody says, "Oh yeah, they talk," so what? They talk to everybody. It's free. Like, it doesn't cost you. It's not one of your visits. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think it looks like it's going to be Otis Reese, right? The fourth, Jack Gibbons, and a rookie. I think that's going to be the mix.
I'll ask this. So I'm going to get the quarterback, man. So how exactly is your evaluation of Will Levis, and do you feel as though he can be the guy moving forward, or possibly be the franchise quarterback for this franchise?
I feel he could be the guy moving forward. I have a couple issues, and I brought one of them up with him during the press conference. We kind of had it back and forth. It was cool. When I was talking about the Treylon Burks story against the Steelers, you know, I had mentioned, like, are you going to get to a point like where you could not lock in on that and see, you know, down the distance, it's 4th and 6. You got Kyle Phillips coming open underneath, you know, can you get to that point? And Tim Kelly actually stepped up for him and had explained, like, look, like, it's hard to coach a guy up and tell him, if you get this alert, this is where you have to go, and then chastise him for going there. So I get it, you know what I mean, in that situation. And Levis actually said that that's something that he recognized also, and he wants to be able to make sure that his eyes come down off of the deep pass and look at some of that stuff underneath. So I would say that's an area for improvement, continued improvement. And then also the pocket awareness. He does have to get a little bit better there, that internal clock, understanding that, you know, you don't have a lot of time, and you got to feel that, see that other color jersey, you know, in your, with your peripheral or whatnot, and know, like, to, you know, when it's time to move. I think that's something. And then also understanding when the journey's over, right? You don't have to truck a defensive lineman to get the touchdown. Like, you really love the aggressiveness and to go for it, but that typically will get you hurt, right? You don't have to truck Jalen Ramsey. And again, you love that aggressiveness, but there's certain times where you understand the journey's over and give it up.
Yeah, true. Agreed. You got one more chat comment, or?
No, I got a few. I saw somebody had asked about Xavier Worthy or Xavier.
Yeah.
The speed that Worthy brings is great. You know, I love that, and he shows it. He's one of those rare guys that is dumb fast, both on the track and on the field. But give me Xavier Legette. I think Xavier Legette is a bigger playmaker. I think, you know, you could do things to control that speed of Xavier Worthy, but I don't think corners could press Legette the way that they could press Worthy. And I think, you know, the thing about Worthy that people don't recognize, he's actually pretty physical, right? You know, like, I've seen him run through tackles and stuff like that. But I just think you look at Legette, like, when I watch him, and again, I'm talking about body movement, I'm talking about style of play, it looks like A.J. Brown when I watch him. You know what I mean? So give me Xavier Legette over Xavier Worthy consistently.
I couldn't agree more.
I
Yeah,
agree. I like Xavier Legette.
Legette, man, I'm telling you, TD, man, I've been talking about Legette on this show for like the last month or so, man. He right up there with Joe Alt for me. I mean, there's two dudes that I watch that give me butterflies when I watch them, man. That's Joe Alt and Xavier Legette. Now, Worthy, I definitely wouldn't be mad about having Worthy, but Legette, he just does it for me, man.
Worthy got them drops too, man. He be dropping the ball, man. I've seen him drop so many crucial touchdowns.
He's small.
No, you're right. But you go back, like you check my Twitter timeline, you'll see in October there's a post saying, "Man, this dude reminds me of AJ, man. Like it's crazy. You look at the body, and if you watch that video, you'll see like it's very much like him. Troy Franklin is another one at 38. Like they don't get a receiver. Troy Franklin could go. It's just the inconsistency stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of good receivers in that second round if we stick and pick up these positions. You know, I think Farley said you had a question, right?
Yeah, well, I got two now because I this one. Does Worthy's weight concern you any coming into the NFL? Is him being 160, 165?
No, because I think you play to it, and that's the thing. Like we get too concerned with what a player isn't. And don't focus enough on what he is. Okay, look, I'm not going to put him on the line of scrimmage and ask him to beat Jalen Ramsey in press. I'm going to have him lining up off the ball consistently. I'm going to motion him and do different things to allow him to not have to get into that traffic to have that chatter at the line of scrimmage. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I saw that comment too. I was cracking.
Man.
Ron, have you heard him talk? Have you heard? I know you done heard Legette talk, man.
I talked to him in person.
Hey, man.
Y'all are cold on here, boy.
Hey, just remember, some of the greatest men in this world sound country as hell.
Ain't nothing wrong with it, man.
I ain't gonna roast the host, man.
Hey, they be coming, bro. When before Vrabel firing, I was here defending Vrabel. They had no chill. They had no hold back. They was coming.
Killing.
They was ready.
Vrabel's a defense attorney, man. This man
I had somebody look, man. I had somebody tell me I was a Vrabel apologist and this, that, and the third. They called into the Stillman show. I was so mad. I said, look, man, 1824 Murfreesboro fight. Come see me, man. I was so mad.
Yeah, man,
you had
all
time.
I was hot, man. Because he said some other stuff too, man. I was so mad. So I get it.
You even, I believe it was you, right? You had the back and forth with Vrabel too, and you was asking him about like leadership in the locker room.
Yeah, because I knew the locker room was falling apart.
Yeah,
but I wasn't gonna, because obviously, and you gotta be smart. If I say, hey, Vrabel, are you losing the locker room? He's not gonna stand up there and say yes. You know what I mean? So I'm like, look, I know you don't. I'm thinking in my head, I know you don't think so, but give me examples of how you still are maintaining the locker room, because look, like stuff was crumbling. You know what I mean? Guys were getting tired of that up and down emotional thing. Guys were getting tired of that act when they were losing. Right now, when they're winning, it's like, all right, man, he's just being. But when they're losing, like it stuff went left a bit.
Yeah, because I felt because like I was just defending Vrabel for all that time during that happened. Then that happened though, but I was like, man, felt like TD just gave him a layup question to kind of boost about what he does and how he changed the locker room and be a coach about him. And then he went on defensive, so it's like that makes it seem like you're definitely losing the locker room.
Yeah, he did also. Are you questioning? Like, no, I have a question. I'm just asking you to tell me why not. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty simple. You know what I'm saying?
So wait, how exactly is Vrabel, man? I know, like, I get a lot of like he an asshole, man. He this, he a smart athlete, man. So
look, man, Vrabel's the real one. He's genuine. Even like from the gate, like I remember my first press conference, July 30th, 2018, first press conference, covering the Titans. And afterwards, I introduced myself, talked to him, and then over that next couple of weeks, he would listen to my questions, and he finally pulled me aside. He was like, hey, man, tell me about your background. So I told him and everything like that. And then we just got cool. And then I did a story on him in 2019 about his schedule. You know what I mean? And he put me in touch with his wife. I talked to Jen. I talked to Teddy Bruschi. Talked to him. Actually went in his office and, just sat in the office and just spent time with him. And he was like, he was a real one. And I'll say this too, like how I really know he's a real one. Like in December when I had that nonsense, when I got into that made those poor decisions, he was texting me, hey man, just try to make sure everything's good. How you doing? You know what I mean? That's how you know somebody's a real one when they take. And he didn't have to do that, So I thought that was really cool of him to do.
For sure.
That's dope.
I'm gonna tackle a couple more of these, TD.
Yeah.
Firestone. Go ahead, man.
No, I was just gonna say, man, there's 1,200 people in here watching, man. We truly appreciate y'all. Shout out to y'all in the chat and everywhere watching, liking, subscribing, comment, sharing, man. Appreciate y'all. Now go ahead and hit the chat comments, bro.
Yeah, we gonna do a couple more, TD, and we gonna go ahead and let you ride on out, man. But hey, thank you to the thousands of people that's watching tonight.
Yeah,
man.
for sure. Appreciate that.
Appreciate y'all, man. I almost lost it, but I got it, man. Shout out to Sports Nation Nashville, man. Y'all make sure y'all go up over there, turn up Blueface and Massey, man. They done got back to doing their thing, man. So y'all make sure y'all check them out. Do you think Malik can still be developed into a valuable backup in this new system?
Yeah, look, I'm never one to give up on anybody. You know what I mean? So I don't think that they should give up on him, but I think the chances are dwindling. And at this point, there's less time that could be spent working with him on things that, probably should be there by now, right? So that's the big problem. And that's not all Malik's fault because, there were issues as a rookie, with his development and stuff like that. So it's a tough situation, but I don't think there's much that you could get out of him. I think, he's one of those players where you have to, again, go back, okay, this is what he does well. Let's see how we can accentuate this. This is what he struggles with. Let's try to stay away from that. And at this point, as the fringe backup / number 3, I don't know that there's enough time to do all that, to be honest with you.
All right, so the last one of the night, man, and we're gonna have a ball with this one, man. Because I know you get tired. I know you get tired of this shit, TD. With Jerry Stillman, man, why you always hating on Red, man? Shout out to Trey.
Yeah, I told him. I said, it seems like there's a personal thing. I even tried to, I pulled him aside off the air and just had like a real talk and worked to get him to understand how venomous it is to use the word incompetent, and there's certain, for Black men, questioning the intelligence like that is not something that, because our intelligence is always questioned in certain situations, it's not really like that's really venomous to say that, right? And I mean, dang, you got whatever the dude's name is from New England, coming up with a foolish story, questioning Rand's credentials, questioning, a supposed issue. And then when he's asked what the issue is, he says, well, it's just some stuff. I think he used the word scuttlebutt or something like that from scouts.
He really couldn't even explain it.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I wanted to try to bring light to him, give him context to that situation, understanding why it's so bad to say that. And I really do think it is a personal thing that he has. And I tell him that all the time. It's like, I don't know what this man did to you. In fact, I know that they've never actually talked. So I don't know what, indirectly, I don't know, but it just is excessive. And I always get on him about that. And Jarrett's my guy. Don't get it twisted.
Right.
I'm cool with Jarrett. You know what I mean? But I can't really put a finger on why, but it just seems so personal and so extra when it comes to criticism there.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like Jared just need to have a sit down with the guy. And I even heard him last week talk about, his thing with Rand, and I'm paraphrasing here. It wasn't so much personal or just, strictly against him. He was talking more about, the whole collaboration thing and the timing in which Rand was brought in. And I was like, but still, Jared, man.
It's not, because he has directly said Rand is incompetent. He has directly said that. So, yeah, all right. And, the thing is, you even look at the Andre Dillard release, right? Everybody can universally agree that it was a good move to do that, but he criticized Rand for doing it too late. Like, what do you mean too late? Like, it's still before the 18th, before today, so you still have the same benefits. So how was it too late? So it's just unnecessary stuff that I can't quite put my finger around. Oh, I know what it was. I actually know what it is. You look at the Kevin Byard, right? When he was rumored to be, I don't know where he got a tip from, but he got a tip that Kevin Byard demanded a trade. And I was able to come out and defute that, right, with information from not just, like, from multiple people. You know what I mean? Was able to defute that. But apparently he reached out to Rand, and Rand didn't get back to him. And I think that might be a source. I don't know, but yeah.
I'll say this. He giving me J. Jonah Jameson vibes, man. Like, it don't matter when it comes to Spider-Man. Like, everything Spider-Man do, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, he destroying the town. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's exactly what it sounds like to me.
That's funny. Yeah. But no, I mean, look, he does what he needs to do. He does a good job. I know I listen to that show almost every day. It does well. And it's just one of those things where he has a way of drawing you in, and like you want to hear what he has to say, even though you hate 90% of it. You want to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, most definitely, man. We rock with Jerry, man.
Yeah, and we've heard so much trash talk in this offseason. Seems like more than normal, especially from the AFC South fans and these damn Texas and Houston fans talking all this stuff, especially after 1 year. But what is realistic expectations for Titans fans going into year one under Brian Callahan?
Yeah, I don't know about expecting the AFC South title. I can tell you that much. I think all teams got better. I think realistic is to hover around 500 to take a step, competing for a possible wild card. But I think that's really that's ceiling right now. The wild card.
Okay. Yeah, because like we've said on here a couple of times that we're not expecting necessarily to be game changers, contenders next year, but we just want to see Brian take that step in cementing the foundation of what he's wanting the Titans to look like in this new era. So as long as he can start cementing what he's wanting to show and give the fans that, like, you want us to be loud in the college and in the stadium and everything. So let us know what we're showing up for on Sundays, because these past couple of years have been mediocre. They have been bad, and you want us to show up there. So just this first year, at least, just show us the building blocks that's going to be.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just give it to some big moments. I mean, and I think, with no Derrick Henry in there, like it's going to be interesting, because look, man, there's only two names that I know of that have been chanted in that stadium, and that's Eddie and Henry. You know what I mean? So I'm curious who's going to be next. Maybe Levis. I don't know, but still, just those moments, right, where the crowd sees something that goes crazy. It's fun to be in that environment.
And to think that Henry was the last one to be in our old Titans uniforms. Now everybody on the roster hasn't wore the old uniforms that we had beforehand too. So it's definitely like the new era has definitely changed.
Yeah, new beginning.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, TD, hey, before we go ahead and let you ride out, matter of fact, I think this could be a cool segue for a ride out right here, man. I already know, man, but I'm going to go ahead and let you tell Doc where he can find you and what you got going on.
Oh, yeah. No, Talking with TD hasn't gone anywhere. You check it on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, everywhere you get the podcast that you listen to is there. We'll see about the draft series. I'm kind of back and forth, man. That's a hustle that I will see. We'll see. Chasing these prospects and agents, but either way, we're going to give you draft talk every week. We'll have Chris Sanders on, former Titans receiver, so that'll be at least one segment. We'll have guests, but yeah, you can check it out there.
Right. And y'all make sure y'all go listen to that latest episode as well, man. TD, you done took me down the interstate to Mississippi, and you done took me for a walk around the lake, man, and enjoyed all that content, especially especially when I listened yesterday walking around the lake, man. You had our guy Tyler Rowland on there, man. You had a great discussion with him as well.
Yeah, no, I wanted to have him on because I wanted to give him a chance to actually talk as opposed to so. And I've told him, like, look, man, like you he really abrasive, man. Like, you got good knowledge and you got a good message, but it's like the delivery, man, people aren't going to really listen to it. So I was hoping that he would do exactly what he did on the show and speak the way that he did. And if you speak to him, you know, he's actually very knowledgeable.
Yeah, very.
Sure.
We had him on the show a couple weeks ago. He was on here, very knowledgeable. What he talks about, man, big shout outs to Tyler.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, everybody, y'all done turned us up tonight, man. We got over 1,200 people in the building, man. Like I said, appreciate y'all very much. Y'all continue turning us up. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, tell a friend about us. Blah, 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 this, that, and the third. I would say Lions. Here I go again. That's why I want to say it. 5-star talk to him.
Yes. This episode has been brought to us by our great sponsors at lionsdenbeercollection.com. Keep your beard in the tip-top shape, or if you're trying to start it, you go to lionsdenbeercollection.com, use promo code Coliseum, get 25% off your order, as well as sunnysmilescoffee.com. Start your morning off with the smile that you deserve. They have the premium freshly roasted coffee, free shipping on all U.S. orders, so go to sunnysmilescoffee.com. And don't forget, Let Brand Cook merch is out now. All right. So y'all go to TitansColosseum.com/merch and go get the Let Brand Cook merch right now before the draft, and let everybody know to let Brand cook this offseason.
Yes, sir. Hey, RJ, you got anything you want to say before we ride out?
Yeah, Teron, man, appreciate you for coming out, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, this is probably our biggest show. Yeah, we got 12,000 people in here. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and comment. And we keep commenting, man. And keep on tuning in, man. We're going to keep on. We keep getting bigger and bigger every time we do this show, man.
Yes, sir. And with that being said, I'm going to be professional and humble tonight, man. So y'all, time